Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of HR to CHRO podcast. And today we have Mr. Durga Nayak with us. He reached the level of HR head in a very short span of time. He started his career with Manipal University. Then he moved on to Manipal Hospitals, then to Columbia Asia, and currently he is head HR at Aster DM Healthcare. And he became an head HR within 15 to 16 years of starting his career. So, welcome, Durga. Thanks for giving us time.
Pleasure is all mine, Amit. Thanks for the nice introduction.
So to start with, I want to start with that. How come you reached a level of HR head in so short span of time? But before that, why HR? Why did you decide to move into HR?
So, Amit, I was lucky to be one of those leaders who spotted it early. I did my background in life sciences, but all through my studies in life sciences, I realized my passion was all about people. So, if you look at it fundamentally, there were three types of talent: people who love ideas, people who love processes, and people who love people. So that really, strike the chord with me early. Ki I'm somebody who can connect with people. And then I decided there was no looking back. I realized that I need to be in the stream where I could make a difference to the ecosystem of people. And that's what I'm enjoying the most at the moment.
Very nice, very nice. So coming back to my original question, see, there is a report which says that only 0.5% people they reach the CXO level, and here you are who reached that level at the within 15, 16 years of starting his career. So what has been your secret of success?
So I think many, Amit, I think the fundamentals are always true. One big thing is the moment you feel that you know everything, you are defeated. So the curiosity and that urge to learn continuously has kept me fueled. That's one of the most important tenets of success, right? The other thing is you've got to do the basics right. We hear so much about technology, AI, interventions, young talent, getting influenced by smart work versus hard work. I think the core objective remains the same. Only the pathways have changed, the interventions have changed. But it's just like saying sun rises in the east, which is a fundamental fact that's always going to stay with you, right? So I think hunger to learn, continuously the desire to upskill, and doing the basics right is very, very important. The other important thing is the formative years are very, very important where you really dirty your hands and learn business and operations. That's critical to success. And that's what I have also learned during my stint of exposure with education and healthcare. It's very important to learn your business. And success, of course, is a combination of multiple variables: the opportunities available, organization's appetite to growth, the opportunities, and no, sometimes success will come and knock the door, but more importantly, you need to be ready for it. So I think these are some of the parameters that helps you to grow in the organization. And one thing I've always realized: success and comfort, they do not coexist. If you really want to grow, you'll have to push yourself out of your comfort zone. And trust me, you'll never be ready for the next big job. You'll always be 10-20% short of expectations. And that's what life is all about. You need to trust your instincts and believe that you can do the big job, and never underestimate yourselves, neither your potential, and feel that you are not ready for the next big assignment. You learn it on the job.
Very nice, very nice. So some examples of basics, keeping the basics right, the fundamentals. Some examples from your personal life where maybe in your formative years you try to learn the fundamentals to the as much detail as possible, which later on helped you in some other assignment, in some other non-related task. Some, if you could share some examples of that, Durga.
So early years exposed to unions. I was in Nepal, Manipal group you mentioned, where I had no understanding of union management, collective bargaining, the principles of negotiation, all read it, fundamentals in textbooks. But I think managing union was knowing more about what not to do than what to do, right? So that was one of the biggest learnings I had throughout my career. What are you supposed not to do in real life scenarios more than you do? That was one example, one real life learning that stayed with me throughout. And secondly, the exposure of commissioning hospitals. We've started commission many hospitals. What are those elements when it comes to hiring? What are those USPs, that help you draw the best of talent to your organization? What is that, employees start trusting about you? So these are some of the things that really help you, to take bigger assignments, to take higher responsibilities. And these are some of the basics when you start learning the fundamentals of human behavior, principles, whatever you may say. I think some of them universally apply to life also, to
Correct.
work also, to society also, and to the entire ecosystem also. The basics are always going to stay. And I learned one fundamental principle is good things last long. You may
Correct.
have high days, low days. You may have a temporary setbacks, but as long as basics are right, the fundamentals are right, your tenets of leadership belief are right, you are always going to prosper. If not today, definitely tomorrow.
Correct. So, commissioning hospitals, you said. So, in this experience, was it more than going beyond the HR role? How to commission hospitals? Could you elaborate that?
Yes, I think it's an interdisciplinary approach. I mean, how do you gain the trust of the other support departments? How do you gain the trust of the other stakeholders in this process? How do you build that trust? For example, if you are a new entrant to the market and your organization is not known in that geography, how do you
Mhm.
start building trust? How does engagement happen with the stakeholders? Why do people come to you? What
Okay.
is your narrative of employee value proposition? For example, I'm entering a new territory, so what's my USP? Is it all about brand? Is it all about opportunities? Is it about infrastructure? Is it about the experience I'm going to give to people? Is it about my reward philosophy? So I think a mix of all this, and collectively it takes. So it's not about an HR job alone, as you rightly asked. Commissioning takes a lot of departments and a lot of parameters to come together to give, align together to form an end desirable result. It is, we say, when talent meets opportunity, a lot of people are available, but a lot of options are also available. And trust me, today talent is a consumer, right? So you need to align to talent's aspirations, the way they look at you as a brand in terms of growth, in terms of reward, in terms of career progression, in terms of impact. So I think all of these elements you need to analyze, put your thoughts together, and really have a narrative that strikes a chord with people you would like to onboard. You can trust me in terms of commissioning, very, very easy to mobilize funds, infrastructure, assets, but the real assets are people,
Correct.
clinicians, paramedic forces, nurses. So how do you get them to trust you to join you? That's important.
Very powerful. So you are saying, Durga, we are discussing that it's not only the business head who needs to do the competition analysis on what is my USP, on how I am better than competition. It's also the HR department's job to do that analysis along with maybe the business head, because they are the ones who get those the assets, biggest assets inside.
Right, absolutely. You've nailed it right, Amit.
And how does one go about doing that? So does it start in the formative years? How does that journey take place?
So I think over the last 2 decades or so, I think some of the fundamentals have remained the same. For example, HR needs to understand business first, right? When I say business understanding, it is all about understanding your cost streams, revenue streams, your strategy. Are you looking for growth? Are you looking for optimization? Are you looking to extend your footprint? If yes, is it to organic growth, inorganic growth? Most of the HRs feel that they are very, very contented and they're very happy lot doing HR stuff. I am very happy doing a HR business partnering role or a specialist role. But if you want to wear a business hat, you need to have a deep functional expertise, which is a vertical expertise, and you need to have cross functional, which is more of a horizontal expertise, right?
Mhm.
That is the cross disciplinary thinking, which I was highlighting in my previous question. That's very, very important. Secondly, you need to have that 24/48 rule in mind. As leaders, as CHROs, you are in corporate environments, but then real leadership lessons are learned in the trenches. What's happening on the shop floors? What's happening in the units? What's the pulse of people who are rendering care? When you devise policies, when you devise strategies, do you keep them at the forefront in all of your decision making? That's very, very important. I think the third thing is very, very crucial to know. It is not about HR finding a seat in the table just because HR is important. The question everybody needs to ask is, did the business fare well when HR was around? Okay. If I have to draw an analogy, it is not about how sweet the sugar is, it is about how sweet the milk is. So it's all outcomes, right? So most of the people get confused because they feel that, has HR made a difference to business, right? But the problem is you need to see, are you a part of a winning team? That's more important. You need to be part of the winning team, and you need to go to your business head, for example, a CEO, and have a very open conversation. It could be asking a question to your CEO. What do you think could be the potential obstacles in achieving our business outcomes? That's how HR becomes a trusted partner to business, right? HR is trusted, okay? The information that we value, we bring to the table is paramount. And then do not wait to be invited. Most of us do that mistake in terms of thinking that why should I attend this meeting? Why should I join this? Right? But do be part of business discussions, attend meetings uninvited. And the most important part is don't blame gravity, right? Most of the time, we start blaming circumstances, situations. Oh, this has not gone right because no, the geopolitical situation is to blamed. Oh, my engagement scores have taken ahead because the leadership out there is not right. This could have been much better if competition was not to open a business in the periphery. So that's gravity, something that's beyond our control. Let's not talk about it. So instead of blaming circumstances, HR should be more proactive in terms of finding solutions, and they too have a real say, or it depends on you to really finding a seat in the table. You'll never be invited.
Very nice. So, see, I want to ask about cross-disciplinary skills, but before that, could we know something more about this 24-48 rule?
So the 24-48 rule, Amit, is all about 24 degrees centigrade is usually the temperature of the corporate office. That's the analogy. And 48 degrees where the business is happening. That's the units or the SBUs, right? People who are at the forefront, bearing the brunt of customers and where the weird transactions are happening. So the 24-48 rule is very simple. When at leadership and decisive roles we are into, when you take a strategic decision or when you formulate a rule, you design a policy, you craft a SOP, always take into account people who are there at the trenches. How would this impact them? Is it going to be beneficial? How would it affect their morale? Am I aligned with the pulse of what's happening right there where the business is? So when you're at the top, make sure that you take care of a realistic view of what's happening in the ground before you execute anything. Otherwise, leaders many times go wrong because you have missed taking into account the pulse of what's happening at the ground. That's the 24-48 rule, Amit.
Very nice. Very nice. So, how does one young HR professional go about it? Learning about what is happening at the ground level, what is happening at that 48 degrees centigrade temperature. How does one go about it?
So, Amit, it's all about spending time with teams, right? You cannot be having the right judgments if you only spend time in the boardrooms or you spend time in the office enclosed cabins. It's all about interacting with people. And trust me, the best of judgments happen when you start interacting with people. It happens through dialogue, not through reading a static report. Uh, and the best of decisions are taken when you face people, evaluate complexities, go to the ground, have a real perspective of things in hand, not through frameworks. No, most of the leaders make mistakes of a two by two framework, and then you have contingency planning and a scenario planning, and you derive outcomes based on information at your laptops or digital devices. That's how things will never work out. So you need to be there at the ground, talking to people, spending time with customers. We have many organizations have this obsession, where you go very close to your customers. When you say customer intimacy, it's not about only external customers. You also hear out to your internal customers. What's bothering them? What's their aspiration? Is it aligned to the organization philosophy? When you meet external customers, you always get an outside in perspective. So I think spending time at the trenches really helps you evolve as a leader, and then you get all those insights and take decisions which really aligns with business and the expectations of both internal and external shareholders.
Very nice, very powerful, Durga. So, see, hospitality and especially healthcare, hospitality is a very tough business. Hospitality as such is very tough because customer expectations are not easy to satisfy. But hospitality, because the customer is healthcare, because the customer is so disturbed in the initial stages itself, that level of dissatisfaction or that level of getting satisfied is all the more difficult to achieve. So now in this case HR has a very tough job because the job is like this, that it affects the team also, the people who are interacting with the. So in that scenario, how does spending time at the ground level help the HR people in their job? If you could give some examples or some anecdotes or some incidents.
So I think going close to the floors, no, spending time with the operations team at the ground really helps because you understand what those real-time challenges are. Okay, so understanding customer expectations. This is an era of technology, so everybody expects everything very very fast. But then at the end of it, I always believe that machines are here to optimize, but humans are here to humanize. Let's not forget the essence. With so much of noise around AI, the evolving tools, technology, and transformation, I think biggest mistake companies are today doing is misunderstanding the role of technology and humans. Technology will keep doing its job. It is only going to churn out reports, help you take quick decisions. They will keep optimizing. But the real worth of HR today, or humans as such, is judgment, decisiveness. Well, I call it the three T's. It is about trust, touch, and tact, which machines can't sensitize. So the
Very
moment
nice.
you start interacting with customers, understand their pain points, the expectations, all this disruptions, has led to a significant change in the expectation of behavior of consumers. And as you rightly said, in our case, it is all patients. So they expect a quick turnaround in terms of dispatch of reports. They expect diagnostics to be completed very fast. The patience in terms of waiting times is very, very low. So how do you do this? Only when you start talking to people, empower them. For example, in the competence structure, we promote rapid decision making as one of the
Correct.
key tenets in terms of behaviors expected of ground. You really don't have to tell me ki I'll go back and check with my supervisor whether I can do this or not do this. So that autonomy, that freedom, and that sort of sensitiveness is given to teams on ground to take that.
Very nice.
If there is a scenario or challenge at ground, please go ahead and execute in the interest of the consumer or the end user, and they are rewarded for tough decisions taken at the nick of time.
Very nice. See, you also mentioned that it's no longer waiting for the invitation to get a seat at the table. Attend the meetings uninvited. So, some examples you could share where you did that and how beneficial it was for you and for the organization.
I think Amit, very relevant point. You will never have all your business units, all your SBUs, all your functions doing well. Many a times I've seen leaders telling that's not my job. Okay, that's
Correct.
not related to my function.
Correct.
Why should I speak when it is a matter related to supply chain or
Correct.
IT, for instance? But I think many instances where you say, "Ki, okay, fine, let's understand what's not going right, what's grappling you, going and talking to the CEO, what do you think could be potential threat? When you are formalizing your strategies of annual operating pillars for the next year, what do you see as an opportunity? But more importantly, what do you see as potential pitfalls in devising your strategy or executing them? It could be sometimes, for example, many business heads, we are into the business of healthcare, say, no, attrition of my key clinicians. Okay, I
Correct.
am worried that I may lose my most key cardiologist to competition. I am worried that competition may come and poach my most able and revenue generating, let's say, neurologist, hard to find. So then, as business, you sense it, proactively start engaging them. What would possibly help you talk to that clinician and understand his aspiration? Then you say, what's going to make an impact? See, I always believe compensation cannot be the only lever in terms
Correct.
of attracting or retaining talent. Both overpaying and underpaying has got its own consequences. It's got
Correct.
its own counter effect. But today, I mean, the knowledge workers we deal with, the high value clinicians, They are looking for impact. Okay, why should I continue to stay invested in this organization and not somebody else? Because I have a larger forum. I'm able to have that sense of professional satisfaction working with this organization because I'm able to create an impact in the ecosystem. Because if you look at Masker's hierarchy of needs, at the apex of the pyramid is self actualization, realizing what your true potential is. Otherwise, at every level of the hierarchy of needs, it's met. He's contented and he's achieved all levels of motivation. But then to continue beyond that certain point is how do you tap to the emotions of that particular clinician and help him derive that professional satisfaction through impact. So that connect is very, very important. And I work personally with business heads, giving them a lot of insights around this, how to build that narrative and how to create that impact in the ecosystem so that somebody stays involved, engaged, and impactful with you in the years to come.
Very nice. Very nice, Durga. See, you also mentioned that growth and comfort, they don't go together. Now, when we are saying
Right.
that you should maybe go and talk to the CEO, what are the stumbling blocks that he or she can foresee? Then that person will only listen to you if you have proved yourself with your hard work, being good at what you do, being good in your job. So how to gain, and you said that trust, getting trust of other people is very important. So how does hard work help you get trust of stakeholders? First is, why is hard work important, and how does it help you gain trust so that you can go and ask even the CEO questions? Some points on that.
So, Amit, I think it's a continuous journey, right? I've spent about 12 years in my current organization. And credibility building is a process. You said it right. Trust doesn't happen overnight. You build it brick by brick, year after year, process by process. So once the organization or the immediate leadership gains trust with you, they're always going to give you additional responsibilities. And trust me, legacy building doesn't happen overnight. And when I say legacy, the definition is legacy is what do people talk about you when you are not in that room? Are you something? Are you someone who is dependable? Are you someone who is credible? Are you somebody who can take risks? Are you somebody who can be assertive in thinking, saying it yes when it calls for yes, saying no when it calls for no? So these are some of the leadership traits you build over the period of time. And people are watching you, right? Every action you do, every move you make, there are people in and around watching you. So I think no shortcuts to success. Hard work will always pay off, and it will pay results. Personally, I have joined the organization when I was handling one unit. Then, as we started growing, the organization did repose faith in my abilities in terms of giving me opportunity to handle multiple units. We started developing clusters. I was given elevated roles to handle clusters. Then we diversified into our businesses into other streams like diagnostics, pharmacy chains, technology, and all. So I was given an opportunity to handle those verticals. So I think the ingredients of success invariably apply the same. You have inquisitiveness to learn, your curiosity to find out how a business works, the trust, the hard work. These are some of the variables that come together into play over the period of time. And once your stakeholders closely watching you believe that you are doing it right with the right intent, I think legacy starts building. And that legacy building is very, very important for leadership, Amit. There is no shortcut to success in that legacy building.
So are we saying, see, this is so very powerful. Being curious about things, being curious about, like you mentioned, costing, about revenue, what is happening, why are we different from competition? So, in case somebody doesn't have that trait, how to develop that trait of curiosity to ask questions?
So I think, Amit, the fundamentals is you need to ask why. Okay, it again draws me back to the previous fundamentals of the moment you think I know everything, you get defeated. Your learning stops.
Correct.
For example, understanding a diagnostics business is very, very different from a healthcare business. It comes from within. If you really want to grow, you say, okay, fine, let me understand this business. What are my revenue streams? What are my cost streams? What are my expenses? What is my consumable cost? Who are my potential customers? How do I build a customer base? What is my target reach? How does brand equity work with this vertical versus a hospital? So these are all fundamental questions you need to ask, provided you have that appetite for learning, right? If you
Very,
really want to understand the business, you want to grow, you need to understand the tricks of the trade. You need to understand the nuances of what's working, what's not working. So I think that mindset is very, very important. Coming back to a question, you always need to question, why? Why did this happen? If not this, when? And I think conversation with business leaders really helps to understand some of these nuances, who bring in a very varied perspectives. And that is why, again, I always feel surrounding yourself with mentors is very, very important, right? And a mentor, when I say, need not be a mentor from the HR stream, it could be a business leader. Trust me, I have always experienced this. A mentor will see things in you which you don't see in yourselves. That's very, very important. And they keep pushing you to deliver beyond your original capacities. That's why, goals are not just goals, they become stretched goals. And when you chase those stretched goals, obviously you will do much better. And that enhances your scalability in terms of your professional competence.
very nice. Very nice. So I'll come back to this mentors, how to have mentors, because why would somebody agree to mentor you unless you impress them with your hard work, with your curiosity? But before that, see, in today's time, things are becoming tougher by the day. Tougher as in traffic problems. I mean, in all the metros, traffic is becoming a big challenge. And then there are other demands on the individual time of a person. Now, for a young HR professional who has his or her plate full with the daily KRAs, KPIs that he or she has to perform in, how does that person find out time to learn more about other businesses, about other things? How does he or she go about it?
I think one of the fundamentals is you need to build a good team, expand the capabilities of the team. So as a business leader, of course, you're very right. You have limited times, you have limited number of hours in a day to complete your daily chores, right? So you need to have a very able and a capable team whom you could just guide, and you could help through certain inputs and leave it to them in terms of doing the execution bit of it. That's very, very important. Building the HR capability of the team is very important, right? Then it leaves you with time to do some strategic thinking, going and talking to businesses, understanding businesses, understand what are those nuances, what are those enablers that will help those businesses to go, what are those potential challenges that may impede growth, what is the business head expecting from HR. So you will only be able to do that provided your hands are left free to do that. And to do that, you need to have a good, capable team. I think a lot of leaders do mistakes in not terms of investing in the right capabilities. But if you develop a team that's capable, that's got competence, that's able to deliver how you think as an executive leader, I think life will become much more simpler and easier for the CHRO.
Very nice. So to help to develop yourself, to grow yourself, you need to help others grow by developing,
Yes,
improving their capabilities. Very,
absolutely, absolutely.
very nice. So see, mentors is something which almost all the HR heads, CHROs who have participated in our podcasts, they have mentioned. So what are the key ingredients to get good mentors?
I think the match is very, very important. And it is very important to have a mentor who is willing to devote time for mentorship, right? It is not about skill, it is also a question of will. The willingness to train and develop leadership and make your talent bandwidth more and more scalable. That's very important. I think some of this personal chemistries match. When I say competence, it's a mix of skill, abilities, personal attributes, characteristics. As an organization, we also believe in reverse mentoring, and
Very
the
nice.
universal. This also holds true for mentoring. When you pair somebody, the willingness of the mentor and mentee to learn. And trust me, it's not a one-way process. We've got the feedback multiple times. The mentor ended up learning more from the mentee, though the initial thought process was just the opposite. So we have formalized a process called reverse mentoring, in which the mentee starts teaching to the mentor irrespective of his seniority, competence, and all. So I think it depends. When you choose a mentor, start with the end in mind. Why are you pairing this up? What's the end outcome in mind? Ask those right questions at the beginning, And does the mentor have it in himself or herself in terms of the desired skills, abilities, competence, personal characteristics, attributes, and that time and bandwidth. These are some of the basic elements that hold good for a successful mentor-mentee association, but often get ignored. So I
Correct.
think those are some of the things that needs to be kept in mind when you do the pairing. And of course, you need to have a very structured framework on journey, and it's important to honor the committed timelines and the entire process. Otherwise, it is likely to get detract, and you may lose track of the entire process.
Very nice. And I think it again comes back to your statement that comfort and growth don't come together. So to get a mentor, you need to impress that mentor, and the mentor will be impressed only with your curiosity, with your hard work, with your dedication.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, everybody is short of time, and why would they, unless they find you a deserving candidate, why will they, take out time from their busy schedule to mentor you? So you already
Right.
gave an answer. So see, now one again fundamental question is that for a young HR professional, how should he or she plan his or her career? So in the first 5 years, let's say, should it be that I should try to learn as many HR subdomains? I should try to learn talent acquisition, compensation. I should try to learn L&D, HRBP, or maybe I should just focus on one or two subdomains, and then how to go about it after 5 years. So could you shed some light on that, Durga?
I think I spoke about the T-shaped skills where you need to have the deepened vertical skills. When I say deepened functional skills, it is all about the HR skills. You start learning about manpower planning, you start learning about rewards, you learn about compensation, talent acquisition, the entire value chain of HR early. And of course, the other one is the T-shaped skills, the horizontal skills, where you start learning about other functions. How does finance work? How does taxation work? How does supply chain and logistics works in a company? How does IT provide support? How does branding happen? How does community connect happen? Technology, how does it work? Slowly, I think it's a phased approach. Early years, good to have deep expertise into few areas. For example, most of the management trainees, when they learn, they are assigned into a particular area in terms of, let's say, talent acquisition or orientation and onboarding, or it could be HR technology, it could be process engineering, it could be transformations. So initial few years you start learning deep into areas, functional skills. And I think if you look at skills, all skills are very important, whether it's technical skills, functional skills, core skills, behavioral skills, leader skills. But my experience of last 2 decades is, as you start going up the ladder, your functional and technical skills start, dependency on those skills start reducing, and increasingly your leadership competencies start coming into the forefront. When I say leadership competencies, it is stakeholder management, it could be communication, it could be decision making, it could be assertiveness, it could be risk taking. The softer dimensions of the skills, they start coming more and more into the forefront. How do we engage with board? How do we communicate with CXOs? you know how is your impactful storytelling? Are you able to bring the right narratives to the table to influence behaviors? Are you able to convince people with your narratives and impactful storytelling? So I think these are some of the attributes that start coming into the foreplay once you start growing. And increasingly, as you keep going towards the apex of the pyramid, it's more about leadership skills, it's more about soft skills, and lesser about deep functional domain or technical expertise, Amit.
Very nice. So, see, we have talked about how to be good at the fundamentals, getting your basics right, having that curiosity attitude, learning functional skills, functional expertise in the first few years, and then cross disciplinary expertise, going to the shop floor, what not to do when dealing in certain situations, and so many other things. So, apart from this, what we have discussed, goal setting, mentors, apart from this, anything else you would like to share as something very important for young HR professionals?
So, Amit, yes, this is very close to my heart. I, do attend a lot of, events with B schools, spending time with budding leaders, I would say. I always advise them few things. One is choose a career and not a job. That's why a lot of young professionals make mistakes. Always I've seen, young professionals, young minds choosing a job. I always say choose a career. If you choose a career, everything seems to be seemingly right. You don't have to really, struggle at what you're doing. That's one. And then second thing is choose competence over compensation. Many a times I've seen this, young scholars trying to evaluate compensation packages and then making a decision. I would always advise them look at competence, look at how are we going to make an impact, look at the role, and stay invested in the initial formative years. The first few years are very very crucial to learning. If you invest in them, then you will see the real acceleration in your career. After about 5 years or so, you will start growing exponentially. That's second, very very important though. Third is be sincere, don't be serious. That's very important because when you are sincere, you will do everything right. But being serious, of course, leads to fatigue. We've been talking so much about wellness. We're talking about so much about psychological safety, organizations taking care of the mind space and things like that. So being sincere is very, very important, not serious. They're two different things. And the other things are openness to learn. As I said, there is no substitute to learning in this world. So you will have to continuously stay curious and hungry for the knowledge. That's something that will always stay with you. And yes, you need to have realistic goals. Something I see a lot of youngsters today being over ambitious about careers, about progression, about rewards. That doesn't happen. It's a continuous process. It's a cycle. So please be realistic. Be I would say ambitious. There's a thin line of difference between ambitious and over ambitious. I have seen great careers take start, but they have crashed because they were derailed because of unrealistic ambitions. And always keep one thing in mind: it's not important where you start; it's very important where you end. That's something I would always tell youngsters, that MBAs and degrees, they may only open up doors, but what would keep you relevant and what would keep you propelling towards success is some of this element: your curiosity, upskilling, desire, and continuous ability to learn and really relearn.
Very nice. Very, very powerful. This, especially these two lines, choosing a career over a job and choosing competence over compensation, is so very powerful. But see, at the young age, when we just start, I'll give you my example. So when I started my career, first 2 3 years, whenever we would meet the classmates, we would meet, the discussion would be that so and so person has got so much package, and we would think, oh, I am at this level and he is earning at that level. And that is why that choice of career over job or competence over compensation. So generally it's very difficult to go towards that side. So how does one go about it?
I think you have to think long-sighted and then don't be myopic, because they've got a long runway. By the time you finish your masters, you are just early 20s. So effectively, you got about 4 decades of active career. And today, as a nation, this is full of opportunities, right? So we are at such an interesting era where the world is full of possibilities. We talk of the entire global platforms as a career. It's not restricted to your city or state, anymore. So I think you have to look at it from a long-term mindset. You have got a very long runway, and as I said, you need to ask those fundamental question to yourself: what entices me? Tech companies, for instance, they value ideas. Companies which are good at operational excellence, they value processes. And companies that are very close to customers, services or customer intimacy companies, they pick up people who have got a flair for people. So I think you need to do a self evaluation of yourself. Is it ideas? Is it process? Is it people? Fundamentally bucket all companies, you will definitely find one dominating strategic style of every company that operates in this world. Either they would be into product innovation, or they would be into operational excellence, or they would be into customer delight. So I think you got to ask that honest question to yourself: what resonates with my aspiration, and what's going to fuel my passion over the next 4 decades. So that's an honest conversation you need to have with yourself. And there's people who compare. That's bound to happen at that age. You told it right, Amit. But I think it's choosing a long term versus the short term bargain. And I think that's my advice to youngsters. If you can hold on to momentary, gains, and then think of career as a, long runway, I think you will not make that mistake of making that first move, but more importantly, the right move.
Very nice. And this is so very powerful, doing that self-analysis, that what excites you. Is it people, is it processes, or is it ideas? And there are so many tools available, psychometric tests and so many tools which will help you gain that. So coming to people at the mid-level, what would be your advice to people who are at the who have reached the mid-level?
I think you told one thing right. I know Kushalta is doing some work around it in terms of the right scientific and getting into the right interventions in terms of designing or segregating behaviors, mapping aspirations. A lot of work they're doing around the PMS processes and things like that. Definitely, that's going to come in handy for a lot of organizations and a lot of HR folks who are trying to do some scientific work around the same. I would also say so. Please use scientific tools which are backed by science and rational. A lot of times HR fraternity makes this mistake of having judgments without any rational or going by intuition rather than without any scientific or backed evidence. So some of this is definitely going to help them in terms of decision making also.
Very nice. So final question, what would be your advice to people who are at the senior level?
So don't get contented. This is not the end of the world, right? You can't be complacent, and the world is in a state of flux. Every day is a new day. So I think success is not final, failure is not fatal. Keep aspiring, keep dreaming. And as I said, it's not important where you started from, but it's very important where you end.
Correct.
So this journey is a journey of excellence, and excellence has no end. So keep aspiring, and sky's the limit.
And stay curious.
Stay curious. That's the mantra.
Thank you. So thank you. Thank you, Durga. It has been a pleasure interacting with you. So many insights. I'm sure so many people who are going to watch this podcast are going to benefit so much out of it. Thank you. Thank you for giving us time.
Thanks, Amit. The pleasure was all mine. Look forward to our next interaction also. Good luck to you and the entire team.
Thank you.